So, a question I frequently get asked is how to take great photos on your iPhone and also how to edit them properly for your feed and aesthetic. Here are just a couple of rules of thumb that I want to share with you. The first one is to really make sure that your camera lens on your iPhone is smudge free. You might not be putting your finger directly over your camera, but over time it's going to get some smudges. It's going to get maybe, I don't know, maybe there is some kind of drink that got on it or something that you don't know about. Just wipe it clean. I can't tell you how many times I've had photos that are just ruined because they were just blurry from the get-go. Another thing is to make sure that you know what you want your photo to be of. For instance, if you're having someone else take your photo, you want to make sure that you frame it first. If I have someone take my photo, I'm going to go exactly where I want them to stand and line up how I want like the background to look, and then I know where to stand. So when I ask someone to take it, I'll say, hey, stand in this exact spot and then take the photo. Because you want to make sure that you either have the full background of what you want, or you can have yourself in most of the frame. The other part with that is I usually like to have a full length photo and then I'll have something from like the knee up. I usually also don't do any portrait modes. I personally find that it is fuzzy, like my photos come out fuzzier than if I would just stick to like the normal camera. And so with that, there's all sorts of editing apps as well that you can blur the background if that's the look that you want. The other thing is you want your photos to be taken at eye level. So when they're taken from above, it looks really funny. You can look short and stubby. So take it at eye level or even slightly below. Another thing is when you are taking photos yourself, or if you have other people take them, make sure that they're tapping to focus on the screen. The iPhone is really good at adjusting lighting manually or automatically. So what you can do is when you're taking the photo, tap to focus on the screen, and depending on how your lighting is and what you're taking a photo of, if you want the photo to, you can click on, like, let's say you're outside. If you want the photo to be brighter, tap on the sky and like brighten it up. Or no, sorry, I do this automatically. Opposite. When you're tapping on the sky, it's going to darken it, and when you're tapping on the subject, it's going to brighten it. Sorry. Like I said, sometimes it's a little bit harder for me to like go through the process and tell it because it's just so natural and like ingrained in my head. So that's the correct way. Just tap around the screen to see what lightings will end up coming up for you. That brings me to my next point, is lighting. Lighting is literally everything. If you can have your photos in natural lighting, that is the best possible thing that you could do. And if you have to be inside, also make sure there's natural lighting. But generally when the sun is directly above you, it's going to cast a shadow on like your nose or under your eyes or something. So be careful not to do that. Have the sun directly like coming into your face, or how I am right now. I'm just like, I'm in natural light obviously, but I am sitting in the shade. So I'm getting that clear light. The ideal hours are early morning or golden hour, which is my favorite hour anyways. It's just, the colors just look so pretty anyways, and you'll be able to get that light directly on your face. You just don't want to be standing behind the light. So that's just, unless that you're wanting more of a silhouette photo, but that's going to make you shadowed. The other thing is to take 1.5 million photos. It does not even matter. Just like have whoever's taking them, have them hold down the button or something and just take like 1 million photos, because you can't expect to get the perfect photo in like 1 or 2 shots. The other trick that I use is I keep my photos on live, because there's a lot of times where I will see the photo that it chooses and it doesn't actually, something's wrong with it, like my face is making a different face than I want or something. But if it's taken on live, which it usually is, if I go into edit and you can choose the frame down below, I've been able to save so many pictures doing that. And sometimes you even get those really cool like blurred action shots. So that's definitely a huge one that I recommend. And then as far as editing photos, I personally like more of a contrasted look. So I usually take all of my photos in the dramatic filter on the iPhone. So there are many, many ways that you can go about editing your photos. There's a ton of bloggers out there actually that make presets from Lightroom. So you could definitely do one of those. But for me personally, that just takes too much work. I know a handful of others that it's just like the best thing that they've ever done. So there's a site called creativemarket.com that actually has where bloggers will create their Lightroom presets and they can put them on there for sale. They're usually not that expensive, about $8 to $15 for like a set, and I think there's a set of 4 in each one. But anyways, for me, like I said, I like to keep it really simple. I like the natural colors, but I like a contrasted look. So I actually take my photos, like I said, in dramatic on the iPhone filter. So whenever I'm actually taking a photo, before I even take it, I will put the dramatic filter on there so I can see what my photo is going to look like. If it's too dark, too shadowed, if, I don't know, any of the above, too bright even, I know enough now where I can turn down the exposure, turn down the shadows, turn up brightness, all sorts of things after the fact. So, practice makes perfect, especially with this type of thing. So you can actually, when you're taking a photo, when you see it, you can really just make a split-second decision if you need to take it again, or if you know how to edit it out since you've done it so many times. But if you like my aesthetic, I would recommend taking your photos in dramatic, and then I'll just do a little bit of Instagram editing. If I need to brighten it or smooth something or add more detail, I'll use Facetune. That's a really great app. Or especially whiten, if I want to whiten the side or like whiten the walls or sidewalk or something like that, I'll use that tool. And then if I don't need to use Facetune, or after I'm done using Facetune, I'll just bring it into Instagram and use the filters there. So a lot of times I'll brighten it just a tiny bit. I might bring the shadows down and then make the contrast a little more. And depending on like how I took my original photo, if it's too warm, if it's too yellow or orangey, I'll take the warmth and turn it down to bring more cooler tones, and then vice versa. So it's pretty simple. I like to keep it really easy. I don't want to go through like a million different steps to edit a photo. But anyway, so those are just a couple different tips, and that's how I edit my photos. And if you have any questions, just let me know.